Hey guys, it is time for Freaks and Geeks Friday. Joe, aka Merlin, I am Dan, and this is Smooching and Mooching, the third to last episode of Freaks and Geeks. Now, timeline wise, the show's been taken off the air for months. And the big letter writing campaign, maybe some emails. It was 2001, possible, or 2000. And they got NBC to say, okay, we'll run the last 3 episodes in a big block, 8 to 11, one Saturday night. Eat your heart out, everybody. You can have it. But the previous 2 episodes were never seen on NBC. So when they showed this, people missed out on the episode where Neil's dad, or Neil confronts his dad.
Yeah.
And where Daniel becomes a punk.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, this episode doesn't really rely on a whole lot of recent things that happened. The Cindy Sanders stuff is from like 6-7 episodes ago. We haven't really seen her lately.
No.
So that's fine. The Nick's dad thing, that hasn't come up recently.
No.
So realistically,
I
actually think this was okay to show without those last 2 because it really... I can't say it's a standalone completely, but like it doesn't rely on anything that's happened in the last couple episodes.
It follows up on stuff that people would have more likely seen.
Right. It's got some Nick Lindsay stuff, that's ages ago at this point.
Like chronologically, it still works.
Yeah, which is kind of odd.
It's a good thing.
But it is a good thing. So in this episode, we have, I think, one of the rare recent episodes where the geeks and the freaks sort of do combine a bit, because in both cases people are perhaps looking for love.
Yep, definitely.
And perhaps out of their element, out of their depth.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, which one do you want to tackle first?
Well,
I think the lesser story is the freaks,
without a doubt.
So we could start small and build our way up to the geeks.
I think that's wise.
Okay.
So, all right, basically, with the freaks, Nick is, trying to be a drummer, and, he goes down and finds out that his dad has sold his drums. Straight up sold his drums because he's tired of it, and,
This is one of my favorite openers.
It's a great opener.
When it's him and Ken at the garage sale, talking about what a terrible garage sale it is. Nick finds something great, and he's like, oh my god, I love this garage sale. I found this, hi-hat or whatever it was. And... they just get out of the basement, and classic Seth Rogen, he's just like, "Where's your drums?
How about your drums, man?"
And then the song. What a great opener!
And it's, I don't want to, we always say it won't go long, but okay, with the openers, I really do like the use of any good opener. Freaks and Geeks is no exception. This is probably my favorite opener, because of the beginning of the soundtrack, while it's still on his face, and then into the intro, gets you ready for that momentum.
And they've done that a few times, but for some reason, this one gets me. I don't know.
It's something about the deadpan, like the shock, okay, we're ready to start some business. And so he confronts his dad, and Kevin Tighe, I believe. We didn't tell his name before.
Yes.
And he's been in things.
Very interesting, stoic actor.
I like that actor.
Yeah, we've talked about him when he was on this show earlier, but we have not seen him in a long time.
He was just in that other episode, right? With Nick? With the drums? Is that it?
I think there were 2, because I think there was the one...
Was there another one?
Maybe there was just the one.
Because I remember he made this big impression.
You could be right.
I don't think we haven't seen a lot of them.
Yeah, certainly not a lot.
So it was kind of cool to see that as kind of a sequel to that episode in a way, following up with the drums, and really kind of tailoring around Nick's desire to do that. And he gets so mad about it and says, well, you at least give me the money for the drums, because I actually paid for them myself. And of course his dad's thinking the drums, the music connected to the drugs, and him not doing well in school. Right. So it is a tough love.
That was an interesting line when the dad
said, good line.
Do you mean your drums or your drugs?
Drugs, and didn't answer him, because, so basically how much of my money have I given you that you've taken for drugs? So it's like, should he really ask for the money back? He's
what's your feelings about that situation before we delve really into the episode? Because that was, my parents never would have done anything like that. If I spent my money on something, whether it be from my allowance or, which technically is from my parents, or from my paper route or whatever, my parents would always have respected that. Well, that's yours. You bought that. But I don't know.
I don't think my mom would have ever done that. It certainly didn't come up that much, really. But if she had ever... See,
we were good kids. We were the geeks, not the freaks.
I was generally a pretty good kid, I think.
Yeah.
And I never had anything as big as a drum set anyway that I bought with my own money as a teenager. But if she had taken my CDs or something, I would have been really upset.
Yeah, I had a pretty nice stereo that I spent a few $100s on.
Oh, nice.
For a high schooler. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I certainly in my music collection, or I had two guitars. I don't know.
Well, look, I get what his dad's going for, and we've seen his perspective, but it is a bit much.
Too much.
If that had happened to me, I would have been probably traumatized because we know how much Nick loves his drums. They're pretty much what he lives for, other than Lindsay.
Other than Lindsay, we know that.
So it
would be like one of your parents selling your collectibles.
Yeah,
your comic books or your figures or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I feel like, but here's the thing.
I didn't care for it.
I don't know how he feels. I want to say if he really doesn't think he could have gotten through to Nick any other way, but clearly there's an issue with their dynamic.
Well, I think he's struggling to be a good parent.
He's trying.
He really has no idea what he's doing.
Because he just let him have the drums all the time anyway. Right. And that was interfering with the schoolwork. And he's tried to talk to him about it before, as you saw in the other episode.
Right.
So in a way, I'm like, it's extreme, but it's a tough thing to juggle. So I'm not a fan of it, but I also kind of get it.
Okay.
Because Nick probably does need to straighten up, which ties into what happens
later. Which is
later.
something we'll see. Yes.
So I don't completely disagree.
All right.
It's tough, but...
very tough.
But I've seen it happen. So basically, Nick says,
leaves.
I'm leaving.
He says, bye.
I'm leaving. And so he is basically just bumming on, I think, Daniel's floor.
Yep.
And
Busy Phillips is in this episode because she's at the lunch table.
That's pretty much it.
Yes, but she is still in it.
She is in it. But yeah, he is basically trying to move through his friends' houses.
Mm-hmm.
Ken's dad apparently won't let him.
Yeah.
But doesn't let the grandma over. And of course, he has the line, I'm not going to stay at your house, Busy Phillips, because Kim Kelly's house. We know that's a train how bad that is, which is a nice little, if you've been paying attention.
Yeah.
Totally get that. Hey, Lindsay, can I stay? And this is...
she says no immediately.
No. Which, to be honest, I found very interesting. Like
really?
Well, because that led into basically the whole... One of the big aspects of the Freaks storyline, which was really just Nick's and Lindsay's...
Really, yeah.
Is uncomfortability.
Yes.
Which ties into the geek one as well.
Yes, I very much so.
For different reasons. And so basically, he's not allowed to come over, but he does just come over because I guess he smells
They're having dinner.
He's hanging out by Lindsay's house or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he just knows. Here's what I think.
Tell me what you think.
The family has...
I know what I think.
The family is nothing if not very routine.
Yes.
You don't think they eat the same time every single night? I'm sure...
And he's been stalking.
I'm sure he knows exactly when they eat.
Nick?
Because he lays it on when Harold opens the door and he's like, oh, you guys eat late. I didn't realize you'd be eating, da-da-da-da-da.
Which is one of the best lines.
Bull crap.
Of the episode.
Which part? Where he says, what are you cooking? Meat?
Congratulations! You know what meat smells like. But
then before he came in, he did identify it as pot roast.
Specifically.
So he was able to smell it.
He did narrow it down, but that was his initial.
But I think exactly he knows what time they eat.
Because he's been creeping.
And he's
been over. Maybe he's been over.
Yeah, I would say even if he hasn't been creeping,
he knows
Lindsay's He's dated Lindsay. He's probably been over for dinner before.
He knows the routine.
He knows the routine.
He knows it, though.
Knows the routine.
Too well.
So he shows up. Lindsay is not having it.
She's uncomfortable. But the thing is, the big throwing is basically he pours his heart out. First of all, he lays it on thick with how good the food is. Oh,
yes.
You're so nice. The family's so nice. Thank you for having me over.
The mom invites him in for dinner immediately.
Kicked him. He talks about how he got kicked out because of his drums and explains what happened with the drums. And it's her dad that actually shows sympathy to him and says, hey, you can stay the night, which threw me for an
I was going to say, was that
loop.
Did that surprise you?
And I'll be honest, and perhaps you can help talk to me.
Yeah.
I thought, though I understand what they're going for,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it might have been possibly a little out of character.
No, I don't think so. And here's why.
Okay.
Because Harold is nothing if not all about trying to make people better.
Okay.
And Lindsay doesn't always see it as what he's doing. But really, at his core, yes, he does a little bit of tough love. He's a bit gruff.
Sure. Little uptight.
A little uptight, certainly.
Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't let her go to the Who concert, this and that, and the other thing.
And that's what confused me, I guess.
But, yeah, and that's true.
That's one area that confuses me a little. Is that I get what you're saying. I know he has a soft side, and we've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I'm not saying I don't entirely buy it, but it is interesting they kind of connect over the drums. Because he sort of had
well, we'll get to that, yeah. But,
as well.
But the other thing is, I don't think he really know. I mean, Lindsay really tells very little about her life.
True.
I don't know if he even knew that her and Nick were ever an item.
Okay.
You know?
But do you think that he would have so openly suggested having this boy over because of how protective he is with Lindsay, like in the house? In other episodes, it seemed like it goes against his general nature. Surprising.
But that's her going out and doing something.
Mm-hmm.
He can't watch her.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know what she's up to. He doesn't know what she's doing.
Okay.
But if it's under his roof...
Think it's okay?
I think it's okay.
Okay. That's fine. But, yes.
So that was my take on it. But I do agree it's very surprising.
That was kind of the big surprise for this, as I was trying to kind of piece it together. Like, this just...
certainly for Lindsay, too.
And for her, she's even really surprised, like, Dad, why are you letting him do this?
Well, okay, think back to the episode... It probably was the Kim Kelly is my friend episode, maybe, where everybody came into the kitchen and
that did happen.
You know, the weird parents, even though they were a little annoyed about the whole thing, they kind of still let everybody hash out what they needed to hash out in the kitchen.
Yeah,
they kind of gave them their space to do what they wanted, even though it was
their space,
really completely rude. And it was the Weir's house, and they would have had every right to say, "Get the hell out of my house."
Well, I know people like that.
You know, he didn't do that.
I feel like the Edwards, that you know them.
Oh yeah.
They're a family where a lot of the friends of the brothers came over. That everybody could kind of come in. It was a space.
And I think that's kind of what we have here is that, like, as long as people are under his roof, and he can sort of monitor what's going on, and I don't think he really cares that much about. Like, I think the Lindsay stuff, where she wants to go out and do something, is where the cutoff is.
That makes sense.
You know?
It's more protective, or what she talks about later anyway.
Right.
Yeah. But basically, he talks a bit about how he kind of was able to keep good grades in school, but also work part-time. And he's saying, oh, if your drums are interfering, well, I believe you can do both, because I believe in you, basically, and wants to support him, and even suggests he gets lessons. Great.
Yeah.
Also... Great. All right. First of all, on point with 81, Rush, Tom Sawyer, and I'm like.
Well, I do have a couple things to say about that.
I do too.
Okay.
Well, first of all, all right. Actually, maybe you can tell me. Well, I think it is kind of funny because there's the whole thing about how he thinks the drummer sucks, and then the guy had to look up the jazz guy.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like,
first of all,
technically, I disagree, but you know
that he sucks.
No, Neil Peart.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but you're not an old man in 1980. I mean, think about your...
Dan, I listened to the drum in the track, though. I get it. Like, in the episode...
But to him, it's his noise.
Yes.
To him, it's his noise.
I get the generational thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that Nick actually gets inspiration and sees the value in the jazz drumming.
Yeah.
I get that.
All right, well, think about it like this. Danny Carey from Tool.
Yeah.
Amazing drummer.
No doubt.
No doubt. Also, Adrian Young from No Doubt, good drummer. But that's neither here nor there. But, okay, Danny Carey, great drummer. And technically very proficient.
Yeah.
But if my dad heard that...
Why is everything off beat?
He'd be like, this is, like, oh, the time signature's all messed up. You know, because, look, my dad
it's a more
likes
traditional...
Elton John, the Bee Gees. He likes 60s and 70s rock, pop, whatever you want to call it, Beatles, and that would be foreign to him. You don't think the Weirs you know, they grew up listening to Frank Sinatra, Perry Como.
Look, I like older music too. And, you know, I'll admit I'm not a huge jazz guy, but I know jazz drumming has roots in progressive music, like with Rush or Tool or whatever. So when I listen to the comparison, I'm like, yes, this drummer is very good. It's just a different type of thing. And it was mostly about speed.
But all he knew was it interrupted quiet time.
Yes.
They had quiet hour at the house, which, by the way, my family did.
Quiet hour?
We had quiet hour one night a week. And we couldn't watch TV. We couldn't listen to music.
Oh, nice.
Quiet hour. We had to do our homework. If we were done our homework, we could, you know, sit and do a puzzle or whatever. But like,
probably more of those in households these days. So
honestly,
electronics.
It's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
But so the first night he's there, you know, for dinner and everything, and then the next night is this quiet time, and he gets interrupted with the Rush. Now, we've heard Rush a few times on the show. No, I don't hate it. I like Rush.
Good. I hope so.
And Apatow likes Rush, but they were trying, because they'd already used Rush, they were trying to look outside a little bit.
Too on the nose?
No, they tried to get Led Zeppelin.
Oh.
And way too expensive. And Zeppelin was doing movie stuff at the time because they were part of Almost Famous that same year. And then, of course, more recently, we've heard them in Silver Linings Playbook and some other things. But he said that they were priced way too far out of contention. So they basically went back to the old standby because we know it's established Nick is a Rush fan.
Yes.
So,
but he likes Zeppelin more.
Right, I know.
He likes Zeppelin.
And that's because of John Bonham's death.
John Bonham.
It was a big deal. So, but they couldn't get the rights. So that's why they've gone back now to the Tom Sawyer well a few different times. Because and I was wondering this as I watched it. I should actually watch a commentary for I Love You Man. But I Love You Man has a big Rush subplot with Jason Segel and Paul Rudd. They end up going to the Rush concert and teaching Rashida Jones about Rush. I wonder if, I mean, that's an Apatow
staple.
I don't know if he directed I Love You Man, but he certainly produced it. I wonder if that's Jason Segel's influence. I wonder if that's Apatow's influence.
Lead over, yeah.
I wonder if that goes back to Freaks and Geeks, and that's where Segel really started to appreciate them. I don't know.
Who knows? You should look it up.
I should look it up.
Do you think it's just disappointing they couldn't get Zeppelin because it would have meant more for the character? Because I think Rush is still definitely one of his top.
Rush is cool, and Neil Peart obviously is a great drummer. I don't know. I mean, it would probably depend on. I mean, the good thing is Tom Sawyer has that great intro that they all heard from the kitchen during Quiet Hour.
The sense, yeah.
I'm not sure what Zeppelin track they could have used that would have been that monumental in the moment.
It would have to be something that sounds pretty wacky to him.
Yeah, maybe like Immigrant Song or something.
Something has a really strong beginning.
So he gives him all this great advice about, like, you know, you could do both. That comes later. But first they're in the living room dancing.
Yeah, they dance together.
What the hell's going on?
And that's when it dawned on me as I was watching. See, because there was an earlier conversation where, of course, a brief one where Daniel and Ken are like, "Oh, you know, you gotta come to her at night, get with her, give her a massage."
Right.
And Busy Phillips is like, or Kim Kelly's like, "Don't let him give you a massage. It's over. You gotta kick him out." So there's all this tension that, like, they're worried about. And some great little nuggets because Lindsay, of course, is like, I don't know what to do. Nick's like, you know, we're just friends. I'm over her, but if she said me lovely, I wouldn't turn her away. So I'm like,
of course,
which, you know, is a realistic way to be.
Yeah,
you can maintain that friendship but still be like secretly love, which is with the Geeks.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, that's what Sam was doing.
Over into that story with Cindy.
So it's a similar situation.
Yeah,
connected, dovetail.
But I think Nick is certainly more cunning than Sam is.
He's more experienced.
And I think he certainly knows more of what he's doing. I mean, he obviously showed up at their doorstep purposely.
Look, which, to be honest, is one thing about this particular section of the episode that I kind of don't necessarily like.
The underwear part?
Yeah.
So
because I actually...
It's nighttime.
Yeah.
And at this point, she has learned that he's taking drum lessons.
Yeah.
That his dad technically is paying for because he's going to work at the dad's store.
Part-time, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Not his dad, but the Weir's dad.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Very cool.
But Lindsay's a little bit jealous about this, not feeling it.
And uncomfortable.
And then, yes, what the scene you were mentioning, Nick in his underwear goes to
Speedo-like thing.
Yeah, very tight.
Very tight, revealing for TV. Yeah. I was like, wow.
Very revealing for TV.
This is pretty risque.
Knocking on the door.
Up against it, trying to talk to her.
But now he does say to her, don't come to the door.
Don't come to that is true.
He does say that.
Put on a shirt, man. Now, Dan, you're a guest in somebody's house. You've been in the relationship.
I've had some bad guests at my house. I'm the wrong person to ask.
But we're talking. Look,
I've had some very, very rude ass people at my house.
I know he's a teenager, but it's just. I know maybe this is Nick, and he clearly isn't thinking about it. But even so, the thing is, early on, like in the first couple episodes, we established Nick did some things that were borderline a little creepy.
Yes,
and I felt like this one was. I know it was played for last, but I thought even him like knowing the routines and laying it on thick and sort of trying to sort of take her parents away.
A little much.
And I get he's got his issues, but there is an element of it that could easily be perceived a little creepy. That's always been there with Nick.
We also don't know though. He could have gone outside and gotten high
and was hanging
before
out.
That scene.
Possible.
So his defenses are down a little bit. He's not thinking clearly. It's possible.
Yeah.
But either way. She wasn't going to come out.
Yes.
But then he trips over something, and
his foot. Yeah.
She doesn't want to wake the dad up, so then she comes out and sees him like that.
Whoops.
And that's horrible.
Well,
certainly for her.
Yeah, she was not impressed.
Not impressed.
It wasn't titillating, so to speak. It was awkward, and Sam was there, and
Right. That's right. Sam woke up.
I was like, what?
God bless him. So then. That is, I think, the last night he's there, because then the next day is when the dad
comes back.
Now, I have a couple things to say about that.
Ooh, did you like this part?
I like the part. It's fine.
Okay.
I liked the resolution of it. I liked the line that he said to Harold. But how do you think he knew that Nick was there? Because I've always had a theory about this. And there were two commentaries on this episode. They didn't talk about it, but I always have had a theory.
Why he knew he was there? Well, clearly, he must have been looking for him. Right?
Nope.
Didn't call him.
My guess, and I've always thought this. Again, this is just my theory.
Okay.
Lindsay, after the underwear night, Lindsay called him and said, "Dude, your son is here."
Get him
and
out.
I don't think she necessarily said get him out, but I think she was just like. He really wants to come home, like whatever. But there's never been a doubt in my mind that the reason he knows Nick is there is because she called him.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good scene, though, with the dad. The two dads.
Two dads having a heart-to-heart. And he's like,
yeah.
You're so hard on him. Well, hell, like your son's 14, mine's 16. There's a difference. You'll know.
Call me when your son turns 16.
It's pretty good. There's a little kind of interesting conversation with Lindsay and her dad.
Well, it was an interesting, even before that, I thought it was interesting how when the dad came over and was like, Nick, enough now, we're going home. Mm-hmm. He was just like, okay.
Yeah, he was ready.
It was like instant. He was like, father's, stern hand still
has some power.
Rules the day, yeah.
I did actually like earlier in the episode.
I thought he was going to fight.
To still fight it? Maybe more dramatic. But maybe on some, in some way he still kind of respects his dad. He wanted to...
Yeah. He fears him.
He fears him. Remember, conversation was over.
Yeah, I hated that part.
That was good, though.
Yeah, it really establishes...
The dominance.
The dominance of the dad.
But that's what I'm saying. The greatness of Freaks and Geeks is this guy is not made to be a clear-cut villain or anything.
No.
And that's the thing. You get the sense he was worried about his son and wanted him to come home.
Right.
Which is great. He could have been stern and said, well, you're out on your own now.
Right.
Which some people have no hesitancy to do. So it's that tough love and stern, but it's still from a good place.
Well, and I think Harold made Nick realized, just in their couple of conversations that we saw, that there are two sides to the story, and that his father, may be looking out for him, even though he doesn't quite see it that way.
Well, what was it? What was the line earlier? It was something like, about putting drums aside, but the thing you should invest in is your future, something like that.
Right.
Like that's the thing that's most important.
Yes.
That was a good line.
That was
So I
fine.
was like, okay, I understand, but I did, and then of course, Mr. Weir was like, you can focus on your future and do the drums.
Right.
He wants to try and do it, which ties into
He
the
wants to
thing.
encourage him.
Like you can try to have all of it if you manage it better.
Yes.
So whereas, Nick's dad's like, well, these are clearly an issue.
Yeah, it's
distraction.
It's basically
It's a reward.
cut dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punishment. Like you take it away of great suffering.
Right.
Which is common.
Which clearly they were.
Yeah, they were. They were.
And Nick, it was almost as if Nick didn't even think about that until Mr. Weir was like, well, how have you been doing in school?
Not that well.
Not that well. It's like he never even thought that, oh, my dad could be right for a second.
I think my dad had a point that was right.
Yeah. So, very interesting. Good part.
Yes.
And that was the Freaks.
But also, Lindsay talked to her dad and was like,
oh, and then Lindsay, yes, that part.
That part where it's just like,
great scene.
You talk to him differently than you talk to me. I don't get it. It's almost like you said, jealous, insecure. Like, why is he treating? Why are they? But especially him treating him so freely. But with me, there's more of that. And it's just like, well, you're my daughter, you're my kid. I love you. When you go out, like you said, I'm always worried about it. And it's just like, I can't stay inside.
Yeah.
Why not? So
right.
But there's that. Like that's what he deals with, in kind of letting her have that freedom to do what she wants.
Yeah.
Is that backup, which we all kind of knew, but it is that reassurance. Like, but he also that they're different. He said, "You're not Nick."
Yeah.
In a weird way, like he sees her differently because he knows how hardworking she is, trusting her really.
Yeah.
Potential.
Well, and up until this year, she was a very, very good kid.
That, and with Nick, maybe there was some sympathy, wanted to try and help because he needed it. And also, in a weird way, because it's not his kid, you could sort of maybe have a little more flexibility than you would otherwise.
Yeah.
Which I think was part of it, too.
Look, there were a lot of friends' parents in my life growing up that definitely treated me differently than maybe they treated their own kids.
Sure.
And, some of... And not that they were necessarily... I don't know that I had any friends' parents that were like mean to their kids,
but a little different.
But just a little different, and I don't know. I feel like my parents treated my friends the same as they treated me, but obviously there's different scenarios. But of all the parents in the show, we've met now many of them. Kim Kelly's horrible. Daniel's horrible. Bill's mom, complex, but obviously she didn't really care about his feelings at all about Coach Biff.
No.
That was unfortunate. Sam's parents, that's a whole mess. Ken, did we meet any of Ken's family?
No, we just hear about them.
We just hear about them. Even in the Ken-centric episode, we don't have any parents.
Surprisingly.
So, I mean, and then Nick's dad. I mean, the Weirs really are one might say, the only good parents
they're pretty solid
that you should aspire to be.
Yes.
In the whole series.
Everything else is much more
Millie's mom we met.
Flaw, yeah.
I feel like everybody else, is a bit flawed.
Bigger flaws for sure.
Yeah.
That's true. The Weir family is the ideal household, I guess.
I would say so. But they also don't really stick to all of the classic 50s and 60s TV family tropes.
No,
because obviously they've got issues and
they do. They're not perfect.
They're certainly not perfect.
But they're I'd say they would be. They're very well. To be fair, they're more fleshed out.
You can see why the kids are the most well-adjusted
and well-rounded
characters
because they have that origin.
Yeah.
I think they had a good, fairly well-balanced family dynamic.
Yeah.
Whereas in the other households, there are some more glaring issues.
Very much
bigger
so.
issues.
Yes. And you are right. we see the Weirs
Much
a lot more.
So we have they're the main characters we follow. So by default, we have a more skewed perspective on them anyway.
True.
To be fair,
that is true. I guess if we only saw one episode with the Weirs and it was like the Who episode or something, we would think, oh man, they're coming down so hard on Lindsay.
Say for instance, if I'm not saying we'd like them more, but if we spent more time with Kim Kelly's parents or Daniel's parents, we would probably, because the Freaks Geeks understand it a little better.
God,
and remember when I wanted to hate certain people, and it changes it.
You can't hate anyone
if it's well written enough, and acted enough. And
it's true.
So that's kind of why. But yes, I think that is the goal we're supposed to see anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
But it pushes boundaries. They're not cookie cutter. They're not
at all
the Brady Bunch or something.
No, although I do enjoy that show.
They're a great show too, but it's exaggerated.
Different styles.
Yes.
For sure.
More idealistic versus grounded, but ideal.
Yes. Okay.
So
that was what we say, the quicker part.
Story.
The B story, a half hour later. So tell us about the Geeks. Now, okay, so here's what this episode was supposed to be.
Tell me.
Before you tell me about the Geeks.
Tell me everything.
So this episode, where Sam and Cindy finally get get
Spoilers.
Sorry, we'll talk about it in 15
minutes. Yay! 15 minutes to talk about it.
The original idea for them to get together was on a school trip when the bus breaks down.
Oh.
And Kim Kelly takes control and takes over basically the entire trip, and somehow Sam and Cindy end up together from that.
Bonding.
I don't know why this is a complete 180 from that, but that was a pitch that happened, and
I'm gonna say
they didn't do.
Budget.
Locations,
could be budget, bus,
could be budget
stuff.
Also, Feig described it as sort of a Lord of the Flies esque,
where they're kind of
type
stranded.
Of thing, and it's like
that sounds a bit much.
It sounds a bit much.
People.
It sounds a little too
Community to me, or something.
Yeah, it's a little extreme for Freaks and Geeks. That doesn't sound super realistic.
No,
like when The Simpsons did it, it was also not realistic. Yeah,
but now I'm thinking Lord of the Rings, they went on a quest.
I meant Lord of the Flies.
Similar, both great pieces of literature, but
and movies
and films. I like I think it's the 80s Lord of the Flies.
Never saw it. I only saw the 50s, whatever they showed me in school.
That's one I haven't seen, but
okay.
But I'm sure it's good too. Yeah, I bet it is. Anyway,
so Geeks.
I'm trying to...
Really, it's mostly a Sam specific story.
It's very simple, actually.
Although Neil and Bill get...
All right. Basically, Cindy broke up with that guy.
Yep, that jerk football player, who we kind of liked for a minute,
which is
but...
weird they said he's a jerk.
Turns out he was a jerk.
I guess he was more of a jerk than we thought, but that's her skewed perspective.
Yeah, we don't really know what happened.
But she finally realizes that Sam is a nice guy, and she might have a thing for him.
Well, she tells Sam to call her.
Give me a call.
That night, and then of course they do, and they talk for hours, and it's wonderful.
It's a great conversation, which leads to my favorite scene.
Is it the next day when she talks to Bill and says, "Bill, let's talk."
Look, let's talk.
Does Sam like me?
Sam
of course,
like
Bill doesn't know what to say. Because he doesn't want to betray...
I guess.
He doesn't want to betray Sam.
Here's the best. The best line is I think, I could kind of like you. I guess does he like me? It's hard to tell, knowing that he's absolutely...
Right, knowing that he's slobbering all over her.
It's almost
But Bill didn't want to breach the trust.
But that's why I like it, because Bill... It was a great moment for Bill. Because I know this is a very Sam episode, but I still think Bill got some good ones in this episode. Bill could possibly still be MVP, because, for one thing, that moment was great, because it was subtle. But you're right. He doesn't want to betray Sam in this situation. Right. But he still knows how important it is, and so he's trying to act
cool. And then my favorite scene with Bill at the end that we'll get to.
With the makeout
in the closet,
which is also a great scene. But yeah, so it's it's a really interesting dynamic, because basically it's the build-up, and it leads to, are you sure it's going to happen? And then finally Neil's like, go for it, be a man.
Yeah.
But the ironic thing is, after Sam has wanted to be with her for so long, he's nervous as it happens.
Well, sure.
Which anybody would be.
Remember, he says to Bill, like, if you're messing with me, I will stop being your friend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's serious.
That's
and
very
Bill's like,
serious.
no, I'm not lying. Like, this is it. Like, go for it. And there's a little things where Neil and Bill like, it's happening. Go for it. Like, they're really like, yes.
Although Neil's a little bit
Neil
nervous about it because he doesn't want
Sam to succeed.
He doesn't want to be cast aside
and
for
abandoned.
some girl.
Yes. Exactly, which is that was
very understandable and relatable.
Very understandable,
yes.
Relatable, and so is Sam's nervousness about the thing he's wanted.
Also, very understandable, relatable.
And I think it's the whole thing with him is cute and sweet, but eventually he builds up the courage, asks her to go to the party. Is it Mona? Is that the name?
I think it was Mona. Yeah.
Mona's party, and that's fine. They start kind of going out, but then Neil and Bill want to kind of go. Well, Bill doesn't go, but Neil's like, we have to go along to this party. Right. We can all be.
It's a make-out party. We gotta go.
It's a make-out party. I'm going to learn about spin the bottle. I've got a method to get the girl I want to kiss.
Practices on the dummy that we saw last episode.
Good callback if you missed that one. Which you would have.
NBC crew would have. Yeah.
Dang. So that wouldn't have mattered much to viewers. They would have been like, "What is this?"
Although at the same time, it almost doesn't need explanation because it's.
Could be a weird.
Neil is just sort of a weird dude. Yeah, eccentric. Yeah. Now, do you like, before we continue, do you like that the first time we see the geeks this whole episode is when they're sitting at the lunch table doing the jerk
and talking about
Caddyshack and Stripes.
Which one's a better movie?
Yep.
Yeah, that was good.
That classic.
That was a good classic. Very much talking about movies.
Yep.
Reminds me of conversations I still have.
Every day, me,
yeah, and other people. But so I was like, it's like, oh yeah, think about what happened in the second half of Stripes. Like,
I certainly used to talk about all of that.
That's good. That's good. Great dynamic as well.
And we saw everybody in this episode because in the next lunch scene,
Harris and Gordo there.
Yes, they're both there.
Is Harris. We remember this time.
Harris.
Yes. Which, by the way.
Harris also, and Gordon, my buddies.
It's great because Harris is like, I don't have to come along because my girlfriend I make out all the time. And
right.
Gordo has a great line where he's like, oh, I'm saving my virginity for the Mrs. Gordo or whatever. I'm like, God
bless him.
I love his effing confidence.
He has such confidence.
But I like how the two of them are at the table. They're actually kind of part of the crew.
Yeah,
they kind of are.
By this point, they are,
and they're both great characters.
Yeah,
they're really great characters.
Sage Harris is always great,
and Gordon.
Gordon is my favorite. He's adorable.
But they both have so much wisdom.
They do.
They really do. They're both
different perspectives because one has experience and one has none.
But they're both true to themselves, and they're great.
Very
I wish
good
they'd
characters.
come, but they're great. So that was there. But Sam's basically really nervous about kissing.
Very
what happens
nervous.
if we kiss? Don't want to mess it up. Talks to Lindsay about it eventually.
Yeah.
Has a great heart-to-heart about just be yourself.
Which is really nice.
Don't smother her. You just, kind of, you'll know what to do. Like,
I always love when they have
that heart-to-heart
scenes. Yes.
That was good.
Yeah, very good. We haven't had one of those for a few episodes.
But that was very good. That good moment. And the interesting thing is the contrast because, like, Neil, and that's kind of also what's part of this too, is that Neil wants to utilize this moment socially.
Very much so.
Make out with girls. I've got the skills. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to get all the ladies.
Practicing on my dummy.
Going to practice on my dummy.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Gets there and ends up being kind of nervous, and we'll talk about that.
Right.
Bill doesn't even want to go.
Doesn't care
so
at
awkward.
all.
I could get it. Like, doesn't want to, doesn't goes to his insecurity. He feels he's ugly. He's weird. What girls are going to make out with him? The faces they make, when.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I can get it. I feel like we all can get that to some degree. Completely. And so it's like they're completely altered.
Do you like the scene where they show up and Neil and Bill are in the same type of outfit?
They would be.
And Neil gets so mad.
Yeah.
He's like, that's my thing.
That's my thing. And talks about an Animal House reference.
Yeah.
We're going to be at the guys in the first scene. Kind of be shoved to the side. So more movie quotes. Starts to spin the bottle, which... basically, it turns out, I guess his wrist skill was wrong, and Bill keeps actually getting it and keeps having.
Apparently, that was the worst scene in the whole episode to shoot because the bottle was not cooperating
with the.
And originally, they had tried to get a bottle on a string so that a producer off stage could set it to the right person, but it wasn't working out.
I noticed.
So they had to keep. Doing it, and they said some of the spins were just 10, 12 takes.
I can tell that one shot actually, that they kept a spin that didn't work, is there's one where it actually kind of goes directly to the side, and it's not directly at Bill, it's just off camera blocked by somebody, so that one's clearly they used that.
They tried,
they said, I will use it.
Yeah.
Because they liked the background, the reactions, I guess. So that I can understand that being annoying, but I guess it's slowly building, and eventually, is it Mona? Is that her party? Who is the girl?
I think it's Mona.
No,
it's not. Not at the cheerleader's house. Joanna Garcia.
Who is it? Wait,
no, she's the head cheerleader, but I don't think it's at her house.
Probably not. Well, what's her name again?
I don't remember.
Oh,
her real name is Joanna Garcia Swisher. But
okay. Well,
I don't know her name. I don't remember her name in the show.
Is mean, and it obviously keeps building up to having to kiss Bill.
Yeah,
and that's
the joke.
Mad.
Right. Well, because it keeps skipping Neil completely, and then Bill keeps kissing these people, and if it lands on one person. He doesn't care, yeah.
So, yeah.
And if it lands on the same person 3 times, you have to go in the closet with them and do the 7 minutes in heaven.
Yeah.
Now, have you played Spin the Bottle?
No.
Okay, I went to one party where we did it, and I kissed.
I was confused about the rules actually.
Yeah, this is a real thing. Now I don't think we did the 7 minutes in heaven part, but we did play Spin the Bottle. It was in 6th grade, and I kissed Denise West, and I'm sure it was horrible at it and whatever. That's my one and only experience with it.
I'm glad you had one. I mean, that's a classic teenage thing. I never...
It really is.
Never was at a place where that happened, so 6th grade. Is
that
too young or too old? Is that pretty normal?
I mean, we were...
I guess that seems like
11 or 12.
Oh, yeah, pick a thing.
Yeah, it's like, kissy. Yeah, like...
Oh, cooties. I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was certainly. I mean, the game did not last long. Really,
because everyone was like over.
I think we maybe a couple people got kissed and that was about it.
When do you stop doing it? I guess I
guess when you get bored. Or no, what age do you stop doing it?
No, I mean, I guess by the rules.
In the game, I don't know. I don't know if there are hard and fast rules. Or
I don't think there were.
Do it until you get bored, or basically,
one of those games where everybody wins.
I feel like it's like whoever suggests it has a person in mind that they want to kiss, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like once that person is kissed, or once they go to 7 minutes in heaven, then that's the end of the game, because it's like, well...
That's the round.
That's it. I got what I wanted.
You graduate to what you want to get
Something like that, yeah.
But, Bill ends up with the cheerleader.
Yeah, in the closet.
And she's like, don't touch me, don't talk to me, get through this. Which makes me just think about how seriously they're taking it. Like, she's like, her whole social thing is...
Well, yeah, her whole social hierarchy will crumble.
They found out she kissed him, which is, I'm just like, will it?
Yeah.
But that's classic high school, I guess.
Very classic.
But he's like, I like how he just kind of...
And Bill just goes off on
He's like, you know what? You're being a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to kiss you. You don't have to be mean to me. I get it. But, like...
Yeah.
And then...
Basically, like, we're stuck here together.
Like, I
don't want to kiss you.
I don't want to do this, because, honestly, she's mean. Why would he want to?
Why would he want to kiss the bitch of the class?
But then she apologizes, and, she's like, you really don't want to be here. You seem like you're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm nervous because, I feel like I'm ugly, and I think people treat you better when you're pretty. What's that like?
It's a very touching scene.
I don't know. It's just the way I've always
been. She's like, I've just always been this
Never
way.
really thought about it. So they kind of have a heart-to-heart. And actually, she ends up making out with him pretty hard.
Hard enough that Neil is not
past the 7 minutes.
5 minutes later and say, "Oh, it's your 5 minutes. Your 7 minutes was 5 minutes ago."
He's mad.
Now, that scene was a little bit
much.
It was a little bit too over the top for Freaks and Geeks.
Look,
it was a little cartoony.
A little.
Are we to believe that she was so enthralled with Bill that they're making out for 5 extra minutes? Come on.
Look, that's the
that
thing.
Was a little much.
That's the thing that I also thought was a little much.
Not realism.
I almost wanted to say that I thought her not having character development and actually doing something like that wouldn't be believable, but all right, I have more faith in people. I'm sure stuff like that's happened.
It's probably happened.
It has happened.
Yeah.
But you're right. Would it go over? Well, this is the thing. If her character had developed sooner, they could have gotten within the timeline and not gone into 12 minutes.
I suppose that's true.
So think about it. She didn't actually. If you think about it, maybe if she lost track of time, maybe. But I think it's more how intense it was.
So they're making out for 5 minutes straight.
No.
I don't buy that. And I didn't like that.
Okay, I didn't.
It's supposed to add some humor. I get it.
Did you like? I don't think it added as much humor because I thought it was very mean spirited for Neil. Like, okay, he kind of got his comeuppance, but you actually feel kind of a little bad for Neil. I thought.
Yeah, he really because he feels like he's losing Sam already.
Maybe losing Bill now.
Cindy, and now he's losing Bill. So we should actually talk about Sam and Cindy because they did get their kiss.
Yeah,
finally.
And it turns out that and
it was very awkward.
It was awkward at first, and then Cindy just is like, "No, I got this," and turns out the lights and. Who knows what happens next?
That was good.
It was very good.
I liked that part.
I liked when he was saying we should listen to some music and it's just fumbling the radio horribly. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But no, that was great. That was very cute, sweet. I was happy.
Yeah.
Like, I was happy, like, thinking about it. Like, thinking about, obviously, knowing that the show was canceled and things and what plot arcs were resolved. And I was very happy that Sam and Cindy got together. And we see a little bit of that. And I was very happy about it. That was very
good,
satisfying to see.
Okay.
And I was happy about it.
Okay.
Actually, that long and short.
I was very happy about it as well. And the girl that plays Cindy is so cute. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that. Look, she clearly doesn't care about the same social standings that the head cheerleader cares about.
No. Also, another little
that's nice
character thing with her I like is, I noticed she does this in other episodes, but she did it here too to show, I guess she's kind of nervous as well. She always has her hands behind her back. That's like a signature thing.
She does. That's one of her moves. You're right.
She does that a lot.
Nervous tick, I guess, that she made the character choice for. I don't know.
Like, she'll come up and like talk kind of like nervously to Sam, and she's done that a lot with which maybe was always a little hit. There was some nervousness,
which I think is cute.
It is very cute.
Yeah,
and I just like that. That's her very formal
but
thing.
She doesn't. Here's the thing: as a popular girl, cheerleader, very attractive, she really, really has no care. For who's a geek and who's.
Doesn't mean anything to her.
She straight up invited Bill and Neil to the party.
Well, she likes them. She knows they're Sam's friends. She's
because she doesn't care.
And that's what's great about her.
Yeah, it really is. Is it believable?
That's one of my issues.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Once again, I want to have faith in people and think,
you do.
Is this teenage girl who would go out with Sam and also accept his geeky friends with no issues whatsoever? Is it believable?
Okay, here's why it is.
You better really sell it.
I will.
Okay.
Because we learned what a weirdo she actually is in the episode where they sell the yearbook ads.
You're right, I forgot. She is a bit awkward and weird too.
They set it up months ago,
we think,
with that episode.
Because she's not really, she might be a cheerleader, but she's not just trying to fit into
Right.
You're right. She's kind of weirdo too. That's true.
So there we go. Which is probably
that makes sense.
Why it didn't work out with the football player.
Because he's more of a jock.
He's more of a jock, and she's a little more well-rounded than that.
Yes.
So
you know what?
All right. I didn't have to sell it that hard
because I forgot about that episode for a second. That actually, with her going out with Bill for the stuff. Oh, that was also a great callback too. I can trust you, Bill.
That's right.
We're lab partners. See, she's friends with Bill.
She actually is cool with Bill.
Yeah, it was great.
Which I think is great. Yeah.
See, I'm telling you, Bill's a standout.
So
for as good as everyone else was in this, Bill's scenes, your favorite in the closet? I don't know. That's pretty great.
That was a great scene.
Why is with all the powerful Bill scenes in all these episodes?
Okay, but
did they just realize that he wasn't coming to gold initially?
I'm going to throw something else out, though.
Just throwing it out.
On the other side of things,
I
actually think the MVP is Mr. Weir in this episode.
All right.
If we're going to be real.
All right. He's the MVP.
In every episode.
But it throws...
But you thought it was a little more out of character for him.
It was... You know what? Maybe it is in character, but it's just so unusual from every other episode. It was like... It was hard for me to believe...
He's very understanding.
Once he tries.
He's
very dismissive initially, though. Those bumps on their music. That's more what I'm used to. Like that very restrained, not vulnerable.
He hated Neil Peart and the drumming. Yeah, he threw that out of pocket, so that's more in line with his character, right?
That's true.
And he's not the one who invited Nick in to begin with. It was the mom. Now, he did invite him to spend the night, but the mom's the one who actually invited him inside and said, you can come eat.
That is true.
So I think He might have been in character.
Mm-hmm.
So the two MVPs, Bill, Mr. Weird.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with all, and Cindy probably number 3.
Yes.
Right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, there's really only 3 people in the whole episode. I mean, Nick certainly is not the MVP. Nick's dad is certainly not the MVP.
Of people that are just like super, because even like you're right. Even though Sam, it was sort of his victory, he oddly enough wasn't that important to a lot of.
No, he wasn't. She was though.
She was. It was more her kind of taking the initiative.
But...
Yeah, his reactions, his nervousness, but we explore the other sides of that more with Neil and Bill.
Yeah,
the trifecta.
Well, it's your favorite.
Still,
although I enjoy Gordon as well.
The Freaks.
Some of the other geeks I like.
The Freak stuff has definitely done some great writing too, though.
Yeah,
like they have all gotten great stuff though so far.
I thought that episode last week with Daniel being the punk that was
very good.
One of the best Freaks episodes in a while. Yeah,
for like if it's like a tally of which one takes it. Though I don't know that they're.
Because here's the thing. When you think about now, we've been through 16 episodes so far. There's 2 left. Of all of these episodes, I would certainly say the Freaks have changed more.
They've grown more.
The geeks are the geeks. They're established. Yeah. And, I mean, yes, certain things have happened. Certainly Neil's changed a bit with the revelation about his dad and everything. But for the most part,
they're pretty stable.
At the core, personality-wise, they are the exact same as they were in episode 1. Maybe a little more understanding of other things. They've invited Smelly Gordon into the group, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And they're certainly wiser about certain subjects like, sex and kissing and stuff. But in terms of actual growth, I think the Freaks leaps and bounds. Certainly Daniel and Lindsay.
No doubt.
You're
right. So I guess you're right. From a writing standpoint, there's more maybe going on.
Like they're learning. I feel like the geeks are learning more about life, and the Freaks at this point are learning more about themselves.
Which is
right.
Kind of, I guess, the human progression.
Which makes sense because they're older.
Closer to graduating, think more about what you want to do.
I feel like that makes sense.
Who you are, that sort of stuff. Yeah, definitely. I could see that. So maybe I like the stability of the geeks reacting to these situations. But you're right; they are.
Well, it's also why Millie's such a great character.
She's pretty.
Millie doesn't change either.
Yeah.
Except for that one episode where she really was trying to turn into a freak.
Yes.
Because of her dog, but
yes.
But she's pretty steady too the whole way.
Indeed.
Even though she is a little bit older, like the Freaks are. But all right, well. Look, you wanted to keep this under an hour. I think we've done it. We have to grade it. But is there anything else you want to say about this particular episode? I think we've covered it.
I think we have covered it, actually, yes.
Okay.
I think so.
2 left. The finale is going to be a big talker because I think we're going to talk about the finale and then we're going to do an overview. So,
when's Ben Stiller coming?
Ben Stiller's next week.
I've been waiting for it since the beginning. You sold me to show him Ben Stiller. Like, gotta see the Ben Stiller's in it.
I sold you on the show with Ben Stiller. It's one of my least favorite parts.
Exactly. Okay? I've been wanting to see it. Where's the big bomb? We got.
You're right. You're wondering how
could there be
a show this great could have a bad cameo
from Ben Stiller?
Well, I just think it's so forced. We'll talk about it.
Although he has a history of...
He can go over the top.
He can have some hit or misses, for sure.
Hit or miss. We've seen Zoolander, too.
I didn't like it much.
It wasn't that good.
Not really.
He's had a couple of bombs.
Sure.
All right, so what do you think about this episode?
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's the thing.
Because I have a good one, I think.
These are my thoughts.
Okay.
Before you came over and I was walking around mulling it over, I'm like, I want to say that this one does feel like it's covering ground that's been covered before.
Okay.
Maybe not doing a lot that Freaks and Geeks has done comparatively to other episodes. I want to say that it seems like a B, but I could see myself talked up to a B+.
B+ was my grade for it.
Okay.
Because, yes, again,
basics.
ground that's been covered, But I think there's both of the MVPs we discussed.
Very good.
I think the scene with Bill in the closet is really good, and I think it really speaks to a lot of people and how they feel about these uppity, attractive people that think like, oh, I'm just God's gift. I can do whatever I want, treat anybody how I want. And then we learn, well, you know what? The geeks have feelings, it turns out.
Yeah.
And then the stuff with Mr. Weir and Nick, I just think is great.
It is very good.
I think it's some of the best stuff that Mr. Weir has had the whole series.
It threw me.
And
it threw me. It threw me. Which
so,
is maybe,
to me, that's a B+.
Well, that's maybe what elevates it. Is if this had been an episode where Mr. Weir was a bit more of his typical self, maybe it wouldn't have stood
maybe
out.
A little more common.
Yeah. So B+ seems fine to me.
All right. Well, that's it then. B+ it is. We've got Ben Stiller next week.
Yep, the Ben Stiller show.
He is a Secret Service agent because George Bush, then Vice President, I guess he was he running for Vice President? I guess we'll find out.
Well,
it would have been 1981, right? This is the 80-81 school year, so the election would have been in 80. So he would have been VP in 81. So I guess he's Vice President already.
Vice President George Bush, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he was Reagan's VP. So Ben Stiller plays Secret Service. I mean, Ben Stiller's not a core member of this cast next week. I think he's in like 2 or 3 scenes, but
we'll see.
We'll see. And then the finale, which will be a big one. And for fans of our previous Friday show, Frasier Friday, we've decided that before the end of the year, we're going to have a big Frasier party. We're gonna play because we didn't watch any of Frasier together. Mm-hmm. Much like Freaks and Geeks, we watched it separately and then came together and talked about it.
That's true.
So for the first time, we're gonna watch Frasier together. We're gonna each pick our 5 favorite episodes, and then we're gonna finally do some sort of a video about that. I guess I don't know. And then Hannibal next year. So, Love That Lecture, it'll be called.
Love That Lecture.
All right, so that's it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.